Welcome back to another episode of Signal Fire Radio. I am your host, Rob Renz, Marine Corps veteran, entrepreneur, local small business owner, all-around good dude, as voted on by my wife and daughters. If this is your first time joining us on Signal Fire Radio, we want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. This is a show about ambitious leadership for ambitious leaders, and what we do in our time together here is we study best practices from those ambitious leaders as it relates to your heart, your head, your body, and your community. I am joined, as always, by my good bud, Matt, the narwhal from NorCal, my lot. Matthew, how are you today, my friend?
You feel like a rock star with all this lighting.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah. And your eyes actually look very crystal.
Really?
Today. Yeah.
I wonder how they're popping in the camera then. I'm going to look at the camera real quick. We've added some killer capabilities in the past couple weeks.
Yes.
And by killer capabilities, we mean we've added somebody who has leveled us up dramatically. But yeah, we've got a full like NBC News thing going on here, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's got the sex appeal of like a modeling shoot, but still got the grungy vibe of being in a 100-plus-year-old basement downtown Wilmington. Yeah. In an
unmarked, undescript building.
Very clandestine.
Very close to the battleship. So Matt, are you a big fan of saunas? Have you ever spent any amount of time in a sauna?
Like off and on. Sauna meaning dry, right? Because you have a steam room and then you have a sauna.
Yeah, we were sitting. We had this conversation, I think, over the weekend when our families were together.
But what were we doing over the weekend?
I don't remember.
Well, I never remembered if I've had like a beer. Just like, yeah, I remember talking about it, but I was just really distracted.
We were probably just hanging out, but we were talking about, because Jen and I were telling you, one, about our gym, and two, about our guest for this week's episode.
Right.
And I was explaining to you infrared sauna versus, like, I guess,
right,
whatever the traditional method is.
Yeah, infrared, no. I mean, all the saunas that I've spent any time in were just the things with it's got the heater oven, and then it's got a pile of like river rock over it.
Yeah.
And then you can just turn it hot or cool. And
there's zen sitting in there, but I can never last more than like 5 or 6 minutes because
I only did it because of how uncomfortable it makes me.
Really?
Yeah, just being that, because I get aggro when I'm hot, but honestly, after, like when you're like cooling down from a workout, I mean, I think to a certain extent it feels good, but I like doing it just because it makes me irritate, and it's just like, you know, grit. Just like,
you're trying to like push past the discomfort of it. Is that the point?
Yeah, I think I was trying to forge my soul, to be honest with you.
Hey man, do whatever it is you got to do. Now, I don't mind the steam room, but you got to be careful of the steam room at the Y here in Wilmington.
Any steam room. I mean, the only place that it resonates with me is when you see like the old school ones in Europe.
Yeah.
And all the dudes are
just like a Turkish bath or something?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Turkish bath, that's when they're like underground and they're
maybe I might be confusing things.
It's a communal pool. No, but I don't know. I want to say like back in East Europe, or maybe it was Russia, they would have like business meetings in steam rooms.
Maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
It sounds kind of manly and kind of totally not manly.
Modern American steam rooms attract a certain type of dude in them, and I don't know if you always want.
No, dude, there's so many aspects of that really bothers me. One, they always reek of that like rotten menthol kind of
moldy
scent.
Yeah.
And then it's just, there's like pubes everywhere. I'm sorry, this old guy's sitting over there on the tiled bench, nude.
Exactly.
And then you're sitting down, you're just like, what am I sitting in?
Hey, buddy, how was your badminton match?
It's not just water. It's not just water.
All right, we're gonna leave the steam room conversation.
Yeah, let's get out of the
for
steam
another
room,
time,
please.
because I want to introduce our guest, Stephen Smith, who I'm gonna let you do your whole bio, but just the short run of it. Been in fitness for 40 years. Now, did you, because you created Hotworx, right? That was your idea. So founder, CEO of Hotworx, is that your title?
The inspiration for it came from a trip down to Jamaica.
Okay.
And a couple of rum cocktails on a cliff on a very sunny day, speaking with one of my best friends who's an exercise physiologist, and we're talking about fitness, working out while we're drinking, but we were having fun. And I started telling him, I started doing Bikram yoga, which is 90 minutes. It's like grueling. It's like very athletic style yoga. And I don't really have 90 minutes as a business executive. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm talking about that. And then we brought up infrared saunas for recovery, right? And then somewhere out of the blue, Jerome said, dude, they should do yoga in a sauna. And when he said that, and this was in 2014, I'm like, my comeback was, well, dude, I'm going to go back to New Orleans and design a sauna for that purpose. And 1 year later, we had the thing, prototype came in, we put it together, it worked, and the workout was even better than I thought that it even imagined.
So is Jerome's a partner to Hotworx then?
Jerome is the husband of my business partner, Nancy.
Okay.
So Nancy and I have been business partners since I used to own Gold's Gyms, and I had one on the West Bank in Gretna, where I live right now.
West Bank of the
New Orleans
area.
That one, that West Bank.
Not the Red Sea.
Yeah, the less volatile West Bank, the one in Gretna, New Orleans. But yeah, so that's where we all sort of came together, and that was back in the early 90s.
Okay.
And then from there, got out of Gold's Gym and asked Nancy to become a partner of mine. She was managing that Gold's Gym at the time, and she's really excellent at sales. So she's the sales sort of wing of the company, running that aspect. And I'm the CEO, and we started franchising a tanning salon back in the day that over the years evolved, right? And when tanning fell out of favor, and then of course there's the problem with the skin cancer, then we started really reducing our number of UV beds and adapting that brand, which is a franchise, and we grew to a decent level. And then of course the industry crashed because of the economy and the financial crisis of '08. And then you had the tanning tax that was tacked on to a bill in Congress in 2010 that literally crushed the tanning industry. So at that time, that's when we really had to start bobbing and weaving and trying to invent our way out of an existential crisis, really, for that brand. And then, so we struggled, we did things, and we adapted, we survived, we started coming back up a little bit. And then in 2014, there was the idea, hey, let's get rid of another tanning bed, and let's put in this invention of this sauna that we just did for 3 people working out to a virtual instructor. And it started really improving the numbers at our Planet Beach locations, and to a point where in 2016, I said, you know what? 2 things need to happen here now. One is I need to change the name of this sauna from Hotbox Detox. Yeah, that's what it was in the beginning.
Hotbox Detox means
Detox.
Something totally different to my
Look,
life.
man, people, yeah, it was cute. All right, it was cute. It didn't really say what it did, well enough. So we had to change the name. And number 2, and we did. And I'll tell everybody, I went through like a 3-week creative wormhole to come out the other side and finally get the name, right? Did all kinds of things and wound up with the name Hotworx.
Did you go at it alone, or did you have a team on this?
It's a great, here's what happened. So I started trying to dream up all these weird names like yoga mix and all kind of crazy crap, right? And got staff involved, and we're dreaming up, and there were 2 problems. The first problem is we just couldn't get a name that resonated well. And every name we came up with that we thought might be there had a trademark problem, meaning we couldn't own the trademark because I'm one hand on a legal pad trying to dream up a name, and the other hand on the computer going to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to make sure it's available, right? So I finally, through my research, found this website called squadhelp.com. And they run naming contests for like products, for a business, for whatever you want to name something for. And so you write a bio or description of a product or whatever it is you're trying to name. And these graphic artists from all over the planet, they compete for $250. To win $250.
That's you would pay 5 times that amount to like a big marketing
Probably
agency or
that.
something, yeah, to come up with a name and a logo.
So for $400, because the website got $150, and the winner got $250, I finally, after about 1,000 names and narrowing it down to 20, and then mulling it over, and then this one name kept kind of resonating, I chose it, and it was Heatworx.
Okay.
With the X, so I was like, "That's kind of cool," but it's not. And then I started checking the trademark issues, and it had a couple of issues. it might have been doable, but we would have had to overcome some issues. And I remember sitting in a CEO roundtable, and I had my laptop open. I guess it looked like I was taking notes, but I was not taking notes.
Gone. Not
my
in the
brain
room.
is in that wormhole, right?
Yeah.
In that marketing wormhole, that creative wormhole, try to get this name right, because we gotta let go of Hotbox Detox, right? And all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, wait, let me just put hot in front of that instead of heat. So Hotworx. I go straight to the USTPO website, the patent and trademark, and it's available. I'm like, oh my God, that's freaking it. That's it. And I'm getting chills remembering this story.
Dude,
So
I
I
love it.
immediately get on the phone to the office, and our liaison for legal, I'm like, Shauna, register this name right freaking now today. And that's what we did. And we got that trademark so fast because it was available and it was completely relevant to the product.
Yeah.
Right. So we got it really quick. And then after that, I'm like, oh, the next step is it has to be its own franchise. And so that was like fall. And then in November, decided we're going to put the concept store in Oxford, Mississippi, hotty toddy, because that's where I went to college. And I knew it was a good town for fitness. And so we got the lease. We opened up on February 13th of 2017, and it blew up. I mean, people started joining. They loved the workout.
How many saunas did you start with in that
10.
first location?
10.
Okay.
And you know, we've tweaked it a little bit, but not much. And so we have 4 saunas in there. We have 2 rows of saunas when you walk in the back. On the left-hand side, you got 4 saunas that do HIIT training. And we had in the beginning there, we had 2 row machines. We had 2 saunas that did rowing. We had 2 saunas that did cycle. Mm-hmm. And now we've since modified it. We have 2 machines we call total body trainers that have replaced the rowing. We do have a patent pending new rower that I can talk about called, the workout's going to be called Hot Thunder, but that's down the line.
Give me some of that
It's
Hot
going
Thunder,
to,
Steve.
the row machine is called the Thunder Row.
Okay.
So that's coming soon, but it's not there
But
yet.
this will be proprietary to Hotworx.
It will, because that's a design. The thing that made that rowing machine unique is it has separate, independent acting handles, like you're really rowing, and it has dual water tanks in the back. So you feel like you're really rowing in the water instead of all the rowing machines are like this, right?
Yeah.
You know, with one bar.
Yeah, and you could overcompensate one side or the other.
But it's not independent like it is when you're really rowing.
Yeah.
So it gives trainers a lot of options and us a lot of options really in creating a new workout. So it's going to be Hot Thunder coming soon, right? But on the left-hand side of that original location, you have 4 HIIT saunas. And on the right-hand side, you got 6 isometric saunas. And I'm sorry, on the right-hand side is the HIIT saunas in the Oxford location. On the left-hand side is the 6 isometric saunas. So isometrics are like hot yoga, hot Pilates. We got some other ones, core, hot bar, which we call hot bar none, because we don't have a bar in there because it took up too much space in the sauna for one. And the second reason was because we found out it's even a better workout without the bar. So we call it hot bar none. We have one Hotbands. That's an isometric form of resistance training. So you really feel like you got a weight training session in, like total body when you get through that. They're all 30 minutes, and you're burning massive calories.
Yeah.
Way more than you would, because we call it 3D training, because you have heat as an element, of course, but then we've taken and infused infrared energy into the mix. And if you combine those 2 things with the right type of exercise, you have a lot of compression going on, dude, you're getting major results.
Right.
And I'm researching right now all of our 5-star reviews across the country, and the number one reason that they'll give a 5-star review is the workout. Just the workout. They love it.
So when you say infrared heat, I'm envisioning, so does that mean if you walk in and it's the heat in there is infrared? I mean, it just feels like a normal hot room, right?
Best
Like
way I can describe it is when you walk into a Hotworx sauna, you have sliding door, which is unique, but it had to be that way inside of a gym. And you walk in, and it feels like, imagine yourself at the beach, and you're under a palm tree in the shade. All right, you get up and you walk out of the shade into the sunlight. That's what it feels like, going from the shade to the sunlight. Because infrared it's basically manufactured sunlight. Because when you get the radiation from the sun, the invisible part is where you get the heat. And so the heat that you feel from the sun is infrared. And that's what we recreate when you walk into an infrared sauna.
So does it stimulate, because sunlight stimulates your body's production of like melanin that darkens and tans your skin, right?
The UV does. And the,
Okay,
whole,
so it's
the
not...
whole problem with UV is that if you get too much of the really short bandwidth UV, they call it almost the UVC part, it can be harmful because it alters your DNA, and that's cancer causing. With infrared, you have none of that. It's a non-ionizing, meaning it won't alter your DNA form of radiation. So it's a good radiation.
Right. Interesting. Very cool.
So it started on a beach in Jamaica, but obviously you put...
I was actually on a cliff.
On a cliff.
At this place called The Caves, which is a great place to go, man. Go hit up Leon if you go there. He's the man. And it was on a cliff in Negril, Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And on a bright sunny day, man. So if you want to be inspired, that's a good place to go.
Yeah, Hemingway probably went there at some point. He probably did something too. But so when you say results, most people are going to associate results in the fitness industry as I've got a better, more positive self-image. I look better. I feel better. I'm losing weight. But as I understand it from working out at the Wilmington Hotworx on Gordon Road, there's far more that is happening to your body that you don't see from the 3D training. Can you kind of tell folks what are some of those unseen things?
That's correct, because infrared energy penetrates your skin an inch and a half, and it vibrates your cells into action. So it accelerates your metabolism immensely. It creates heat shock protein. So it's an anabolic way to train. So it's muscle building, but it's also I call it a recovery workout, because you're supercharging metabolism like that while you're training from that vibration of the infrared, and it's causing your muscle damage, that the good damage that you want, because you're training, you're tearing down your muscles. That's how you get stronger, right? You build more muscle. It's making that speed up while you work out. So I call it a recovery workout. Mm-hmm. And in the old days, people would go to an infrared sauna and they go work out, and it was like a very one step, two step process. Well, why not combine the two? And this is why we call it more workout, less time. Mm-hmm. And back to my whole thing with the Bikram, 90 minutes I don't have that kind of time. But if I can get the same result in 30 minutes, I'm doing that all day.
Yeah.
So more workout, less time.
How much? How is this being received by the fitness industry? Because it would seem that it's very disruptive and innovative, and you've been on the traditional side of things with the Gold's gyms and stuff like that. So I'm sure you're quite well aware. Like, what is the industry? How are they responding to this?
Well, let me say this. I think it's co-opetition in a lot of ways. We get a lot of members that are members of Orange Theory. They're members of Anytime, and they're not canceling those memberships. They're coming and adding Hotworx to the mix. Like myself, for example, I kept an Anytime Fitness for a membership for a long time. Just recently let it lapse. I never started back up because I'm a weight trainer. Mm-hmm. And that's never going to change. That's my go-to as an ex-athlete. I'm a weight trainer. But if I can enhance it, I'm also a skier and climb mountains. So anything I can do, like weight training to get ready for that, and then enhance my strength and not just muscle strength, but cardio endurance as well. That's where the infrared comes in for me. The recovery aspect for the weight training and the whole endurance and flexibility and all the things that you get from the infrared training, just so that I can ski better. I never get winded skiing again, ever. Just don't get winded. I could ski blacks all day long. I never get winded.
And
Don't get tired.
you live at sea level in New Orleans,
Right?
So you're going to elevation, and you're
that's a good point to think about when you're training in infrared heat like what we have, and you're going all out for 30 minutes, like say doing yoga or Pilates or what, or if you're killing it in HIIT, is your body is acclimating to this extreme environment, but it's infrared, so it doesn't have to get the effect you want from the heat. It doesn't have to be as hot because it's penetrating your skin. Whereas the old school saunas with the rocks that you pour water on, that's just convection heat that heats the air. So it's not as effective. It has to get up to 200 degrees to be effective. And then it causes a problem with premature skin aging because of the heat at that level.
And you're just at those, you're just sweating at a surface level, right? Like it's not actually pushing out toxin the way that infrared does. Is that correct?
With the convection,
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, and this is well documented, in the infrared sauna, the sweat that's induced has 7 times the level of toxins as the sweat from a conventional sauna.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So and that's well documented.
Hotbox detox.
Yeah.
My God. Did you trademark Hotbox Detox too?
I tried it, and that you know what? Thank God it had trademark issues.
Did it?
So we never could trademark that, and thank God we didn't.
Nobody else will pick it up. Though. That's the only thing I'm worried
I doubt
about.
you're going to see that on a label anywhere.
One entrepreneur and listener is going to be like, "Oh, Hotbox Detox! I'm coming after Hotworx." Now, before the show, you were talking about like you're really doing some great community work too as well. You mentioned mountain climbing. You're going to be climbing Kilimanjaro here pretty soon for a cause. Can you tell folks a little bit about that?
So me and my training partner Jeremy, who was our very first GM ever at Hotworx, he's now at corporate as a business coach to our franchisees. We're training to climb Kilimanjaro. I think we reached the peak on October 13th. So we decided to do the 5-day trek, and so you could choose 5, 6, 7, 8, and so we chose the 5 because it's more challenging. But it's the same number of feet, right? So we're going to go out and raise money, $1 a foot, which will get us almost to 20,000, and we're donating that to a great cause, Sacred Mountain Retreat Center in Deadwood, South Dakota. These guys do a great job for first responders and for ex-military who are wounded. Mm-hmm. And they provide a 1-week program, and then they can come back, of course, and do it as often as they need to. We originally set up 2 of our saunas in their weight room for that. It's kind of like a spa type of place up in the Black Hills. And they do a great job. They're saving lives, man, because there's a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of suicide that can be prevented. And so they do a great job with that. So we're raising $1 a foot for that Kilimanjaro climb, and we're going to donate it to those guys.
Just as a side note, like if somebody wants to donate to that cause, how would they jump?
We're going to set up they could go to hotworx.net, and probably in a couple of weeks we'll have a set of instructions on where they can go to do that. Okay. And every dime will go straight to Sacred Mountain.
Yeah. Matt, you and I have talked about this a lot. And it was something that Steve and I were talking about before you got here. Like you guys, Steve, you guys donate saunas as a treatment protocol to first responders because of environmental toxins, chemical, and all that stuff. And Matt, you and I and Evan have joked ad nauseum about standing in front of burn pits or just like trash heaps and all that stuff. Now, Steve, you were saying that if somebody has exposure, and the reason you do it for firefighters and first responders, somebody has exposure, they go get immediately into the infrared sauna. And then what happens after that?
Yeah, so they'll go and fight a fire, and just untold levels of toxic substances are released into the atmosphere and then absorbed. Even though these firefighters have this massive gear, it still gets into their skin. It just can't be avoided. So they'll come back to shower off, they go straight into the sauna and begin that detox process, and then go as often as they like because it's right there at the station. And we just installed one in Waxahachie, Texas, and they had a perfect little nook for that sauna. So it's always a nice addition for their weight room. You get the weight room over here, and then when you need to detox, there's a sauna ready for you.
I'll give you $12 right now if you can spell Waxahachie, Texas.
Yeah. I don't. Is that even said right?
I don't even know. I probably butchered it to all of our. We've got a huge listenership in Waxahachie, Texas. So
Right.
I apologize. Just like in Poughkeepsie, New York, we had some fun with Poughkeepsie.
Puff.
Puff
Keepsy.
Keepsy.
Yeah.
Puff Keepsy, New York. That's fantastic, Steve, and we appreciate you doing that for that group of people for sure. Now you got a book coming out. What's the book about?
The title of the book, this title came into my head maybe a year after we started franchising Hotworx. And I started thinking about writing a book. I've been writing blogs on infrared fitness now for like 5 years. Every week, 52 weeks a year, I put out an article on our website, and it's the Hotworx blog. But so all of this content I'm creating, and then a couple of years into it, I guess, because I started writing it before we actually started franchising Hotworx, and thought, you know what, I need to compile sort of like a reference type of book for infrared training, because there's a lot of research out there about infrared, but nobody's really compiled all of that and put it into categories that make sense for people who want to know about it, right? Mm-hmm. So the name Hot Exercise kept ringing in my head. I'm like, that's going to be the name of the book. So we actually, the publication date was on Pearl Harbor Day, this past December 7th. And we launched it, and we now have it. You can get the ebook, you can get the hardcover, you can get the paperback, and you can get the audio on Amazon. Or you can come to your local Hotworx and grab a copy. Yeah,
right. You're going to our local one here in
Wilmington.
Wilmington.
No, I got to tell you, those guys are crushing it over there in Wilmington. Yeah. They're doing a really, really great job here.
Danny and Craig are both really good dudes.
Yeah.
We appreciate their relationship a lot, and they put a good team around them with Anthony. And I guess you can go vote for him to be a new virtual instructor here pretty soon.
Absolutely.
So that'd be kind of cool. He's got some stiff competition, but.
Yeah, there is, but he made it to that round, and has a great bio. So everybody should go give him a shout out with a vote.
So how many locations do you have currently?
We have right at 200 open.
Wow.
We're gonna be at 300 by the end of the year.
In 4 years ish?
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
So our goal was to have a better growth clip, but the challenge is always the number one goal is to get our franchise locations as profitable as they possibly can be, and profitability based on how well they treat the customers. That's first and foremost. So if we can do that, but yet that's actually what accelerates the growth. The great workouts are one thing, and they're unique, and that all helps. The concept helps, but at the end of the day, it's the customer service driving the engine.
Yeah,
and the customer service, along with the concept and the workouts, yields the great profits to these locations. So the Wilmington store obviously is delivering some great customer service.
Yeah, and I was one of the original members at that went before they even opened and stuck with it through the entire pandemic, even though there were some times when they couldn't open. I think you're right, and actually it leads me to a question for you, because you said you got started in membership sales at 18.
Yep.
So as you were developing the franchise in this model, how much thought, because it seems to be obvious to me, how much thought did you put into, all right, this is going to be a franchise model, but I'm going to teach people the right way to do membership sales, and then I'm going to teach them how to keep these members long term through ongoing customer service and good relationships?
That's a great question, and the best way I can answer it is, we, as a franchise, we don't look at our organization in the traditional franchising way.
Here you go, kid.
Yeah. The traditional way, though, is to have a franchise consultant that is working to service a certain number of locations. Well, got rid of that term consultant. What we do is coaching, all right? And we view our entire organization as a team. So the franchisor is the head coach, and we're responsible for maintaining and evolving and bringing innovation to the concept and to the workouts. And the franchisee, each location that they own is a player on the team. So you got the head coach and you got the player. And you know, to use a body analogy, you got the brains, you got the heart. And the body doesn't function, obviously, with either one of those, that they have to be working together as a team. So the head coach is the franchisor, and delivering the lessons, delivering the motivation, doing whatever we can do to support and get these franchisees and these franchise location players to as profitable of a state as they possibly can be, and continue to develop that concept and that workout to make it the best on the planet, world class.
Yeah.
So that they can then focus on nothing but the interface with the customer. And by that I mean, make sure it's spotless, make sure everything's tidy, but then bringing the Southern hospitality to the table. And look, our first location was in Oxford, Mississippi. And I would argue that that is the epicenter of Southern hospitality right there. I grew up in Mississippi, right? Our motto is the hospitality state. And I would submit to you that if you view how you relate to your customers as an art form of hospitality, you will be fine.
I think you're onto something, man, and I really hope and pray that y'all's trajectory stays the way that it's going, because we've seen, I mean, I'm sure the 5 of us sitting in this room, we could probably go for the past 2 decades and go through, and I'm not saying that Hotworx is this, but fad, you know, fitness things that popped up, you know, like CrossFit had this amazing rise, and then it sort of leveled off and came back down, and you could probably go through and notice them, you know, count them all off one by one. But
Jazzercise is still around.
Dude, do you want to jazzercise with me?
Jazzercise is still around. I remember the red high top Reeboks.
Yeah.
And then they'd have those poofy socks
Yeah.
and the leotard and the tights and the headband. And like,
what is Zumba another one?
yeah,
it's
Zumba,
like
Spin, TD Jakes.
Yeah.
Like Tybo.
Yeah. Well, but I think what Tybo was one, all the P90X, like all that
P90X,
stuff. Yeah, we could list off a dime a dozen, but what I think, Steve, from hearing, and you know, me being in my industry, in my career, like customer service and a long-term enduring relationship with our clients is absolutely everything. Like the turnover business in the gym and fitness world has to be massive. Because, you know, people are going to be like, I'm not paying $70. I'm not even going. I'm not using it. And then they don't equate the value of being there or the faces of the business with going there. So I just feel like, man, you guys tapped into something, and it's obvious you put an awful lot of thought into infusing that culture into your business.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things in what you just said that I could respond about. Turnover rate, you mentioned turnover. Mm-hmm. The industry average is about 8% a month, meaning like if you have 1,000 members, you're going to lose 80 that leave. Ours is 5%.
Wow.
So that is dramatic, and it's been there literally since day one. It's hovering right at that 5. So I tell our franchisees and our GMs, if you can keep your cancellation rate under 5, you're doing good.
Yeah.
You're fine. But if you start creeping up to that industry average, we got a problem. Mm-hmm. But we've been hovering at the 5, and part of that is because our usage rate is higher than the industry average. Our weekly usage rate is over 30%. Industry average is 18.
Yeah.
So when you got a usage rate that's higher, and when you promote a gym as, hey, use it as often as possible.
Yeah.
Not just pay me $10 a month and forget that you have that draft coming out type of philosophy. Mm-hmm. Well, then that's when you have less fall off. And people, you know, if they're engaged and they're getting results, then they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys are onto something special for sure. And you know, shameless plug. I was the member of the month in December.
Oh,
it's a pretty big deal here. You're honored to be talking to me now that I'm the member of the month in December.
We wouldn't be anywhere without our members, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's fantastic, and I've always lived by this mindset. Like New Year's resolutions have always been a little bit of a joke to me, because it's like, okay, now I'm gonna do it. Why don't you start it a month in advance, and then and then January 1 hits, and it's like, oh, I've already got all this momentum behind me. But I was so thankful for Danny and Craig and Anthony for like the way that they pushed through the pandemic and finding ways to stay open. And I'll tell you what, I never got sick. I never got COVID. My immunity was through the roof. I didn't even get a cold or a flu this entire winter season. And I know it's because I lived in Hotworx for 3 or 4 days a week for, you know, the better part of a year. So anyways, that's my endorsement for your business.
I was fortunate that way too, man. And
Yeah.
I use Hotworx just like our customers. You know, with that frequency, I swear by it. I'm addicted to it. All the things that I hear customers say when I get out to the stores, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the product.
Yeah. The human body is going to react the way the human body is going to react, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is going to do it for us because Steve has got to sign some books, and I'm sure there's a line waiting for him out there. So a little shorter episode than usual, but that's okay. Matt, anything you want to say on the back end to close this up?
I'm still like mouth gaped seeing how much you guys have grown in 4 years. I mean, that's how many businesses can say that they've grown.
Will you be my plus one this weekend? We'll go together on like Saturday or Sunday. We'll get an early morning session. We'll do some hot yoga together. I like the hot buns personally.
Like sticky buns?
No, like your butt. Like Brazilian butt workout. I always mess with Jenna.
My butt.
I do. I always mess with Jenna. She comes back from Hotworx. She's soaking wet. I'm like, you did hot buns, didn't you, baby?
Get those sticky buns over.
Oh, man, I love it. All right, that's going to do it for us this week on Signal Fire Radio. Thank you so very much for joining us. Until next time, go out there, feed your mind, strengthen your body, nurture your relationships, and enrich your spirit. I totally messed the sign off up today, Matthew, but that's okay. You'll grant me some grace, and I'll try again next week, right?
Will do.
All right, until next time, go be a Signal Fire in your community. We'll talk to you later.